In a vibrant village surrounded by lush green forests and rolling hills, lived a man named Ease. Known for his generous spirit, Ease was a skilled farmer who had cultivated fertile land, abundant crops, and a good reputation within his community. He was a beacon of hope for many, yet he carried a quiet longing deep within his heart. Despite his many blessings, Ease yearned for one thing more than anything else: a child to call his own. As a respected member of the community, Ease felt societal pressure to fulfill the role of a husband and father. At the age of 28, he married his first wife, Adana, a beautiful woman whose grace and kindness were admired by all. Adana came from a family renowned for their nurturing nature, and everyone anticipated that she would bear many children. Ease, filled with hope and excitement, looked forward to starting a family with her. The early years of their marriage were filled with joy and laughter. They shared dreams of a bustling household filled with children, but as time passed, they faced a heart-wrenching reality. Adana, despite her love for Ease, could not conceive. The couple tried everything, consulting healers, performing rituals, and praying fervently to their ancestors. With each passing year, however, their hope waned, leaving a palpable emptiness in their home. As the 5th year of their marriage approached, Ease began to feel the weight of disappointment. He loved Adana dearly, but the longing for a child gnawed at him. In his culture, it was not uncommon for men to take multiple wives to ensure the continuation of their lineage. After much deliberation, Ease decided to marry a second wife, hoping to fulfill his dream of fatherhood. Omalicha was the complete opposite of Adana. She was fiery, outspoken, and full of life. Her family was known for having many children, and Ease saw her as a sign of hope. He believed that perhaps Omalicha would be the one to bring him the child he so desperately wanted. The villagers were astonished at Ease's decision but supported him, believing it was the right path for him to take. However, the marriage to Omalicha brought unforeseen complications. While Ease hoped for harmony between his two wives, the dynamics shifted. Omalicha's bold nature often clashed with Adana's gentle demeanor. Adana, who had already struggled with feelings of inadequacy due to her inability to bear children, found herself feeling even more isolated as Omalicha's energy filled the home. Despite their differences, Ease tried to maintain peace. He loved both women and did his best to share his time and affection equally. However, as months turned into years, the expected joy of a new family member remained absent. After 2 years of marriage, Omalicha, too, was unable to conceive. The tension between the wives grew as Omalicha began to resent Adana, blaming her for the continued absence of children in their lives. Ease watched helplessly as the happiness in his home began to deteriorate. He continued to shower both wives with love, but the atmosphere became increasingly charged with unspoken feelings of jealousy and sadness. Omalicha's frustration began to manifest into sharp words, often directed toward Adana. Ease tried to mediate, but his efforts often fell flat, leaving him feeling trapped between his wife's conflicting emotions. In his quest for fatherhood, Ease made the decision to marry a third wife. This time, he chose Enkay, a woman known for her calm demeanor and deep spirituality. Enkay was wise and compassionate, and her presence seemed to soothe the tensions between Adana and Omalicha. Ease hoped that Enkay would bring a sense of balance to their household. The villagers welcomed Enkay, seeing her as a stabilizing force in Ease's life. With Enkay, Ease felt a renewed sense of hope. Her gentle spirit brought peace to the home, and for a time, the three women found a way to coexist. They began to share their daily lives, cooking together, and celebrating small joys, but despite their best efforts, no children were born. Each month that passed without a pregnancy weighed heavily on them, and the once vibrant atmosphere dimmed once again. After several years of marriage, Ease received the news that Enkay was pregnant. The village erupted in celebration. Ease's heart swelled with joy and anticipation. This child was the embodiment of his dreams, the promise of a legacy. Ease devoted himself to preparing for the arrival of his child, and the entire village joined in the preparations. He built a beautiful nursery, filled it with handmade crafts, and decorated it with the finest fabrics. However, fate can be cruel, and tragedy struck. One stormy night, Enkay went into labor. The wind howled as lightning lit up the sky, but Ease remained optimistic, believing this was the moment he had been waiting for. He rushed to gather the village midwives, but as the hours dragged on, tension filled the air. The midwives worked tirelessly, but despite their best efforts, Enkay gave birth to a stillborn child. The loss was devastating for all. Ys was inconsolable, his dreams shattered once more. Enkay fell into a deep depression, blaming herself for the tragedy, while Adana and Omalicha tried to comfort her, although their own grief remained. The household that once brimmed with laughter and hope now felt like a shadow of its former self. Months passed, and Ys found himself living in a state of quiet despair. Though he continued to fulfill his responsibilities as a farmer and a husband, the joy that had once filled his heart was replaced by a heavy sadness. He spent countless nights staring at the stars, wondering if he would ever hold a child in his arms. As the seasons changed, the dynamics within the household shifted. With time, Adana and Omalicha began to understand the depths of each other's pain. They found solace in their shared struggles, and slowly, a bond began to form between them. They supported Enkay through her grief, and together, they worked to mend the rift that had formed among them. In the wake of tragedy, the three women found a new sense of purpose. They decided to come together to honor Enkay's lost child, creating a small shrine in the garden where they could remember and celebrate the life that could have been. They planted flowers and nurtured them, symbolizing hope and renewal. Years went by, and just when Ys had begun to accept his childless fate, Adana fell ill. The village healer was called upon, and as Adana lay on her sickbed, she shared a secret that would change everything. Through tears, she revealed that she had given birth to a child many years ago, a boy she had hidden away out of fear of disappointing Ys. Adana had taken the child to a distant relative, believing she was protecting him from a life of hardship in a household without children. As she spoke, Ys's heart raced with hope and disbelief. They had a child, a son, living somewhere in the world, waiting to be found. Determined to reunite with his child, Ys enlisted the help of the villagers. They spread the word, and after weeks of searching, they located the boy, named Chijiok, living with a loving family in a neighboring village. When Ys and his wives met Chijiok, it was as if the missing piece of their lives had finally been restored. Chijiok was a bright and curious child, instantly charming Ys and his wives. As they welcomed him into their home, the atmosphere shifted from one of sadness to one of joy and laughter. Ys felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the journey he had endured, as every trial had led him to this moment. The family soon became inseparable, forging bonds of love and trust. Ys taught Chijiok the ways of the land, sharing his wisdom and guiding him as he grew. Adana, Omalicha, and Enkay each played vital roles in Chijiok's upbringing, nurturing him with the love and care that had once felt unattainable. As Chijiok blossomed into a young man, he became a source of pride and joy for Ys and his wives. They celebrated milestones together, fostering a sense of unity that had once seemed impossible. The three wives found strength in their shared experiences, and their bond deepened through their love for Chijiok. Years passed, and the village thrived under Ys's guidance, bolstered by the resilience of his family. Chijiok grew into a responsible young man, embodying the values and traditions of his ancestors. Ys's household, once filled with sorrow, now overflowed with love, laughter, and the sounds of children playing in the fields. Ys often reflected on his journey, the trials he faced, the love he shared with his wives, and the miraculous return of his son. He realized that the path he walked had shaped him into a better man, one who understood the importance of patience, love, and the complexities of family. As time went on, the village recognized Ys not just as a successful farmer, but as a symbol of hope and resilience. The stories of his three wives and their journey became folklore, passed down through generations. They inspired many to embrace love, understanding, and the belief that, even in the face of hardship, family can triumph against all odds.